This is Sophie Heller, and this is an ACT reading question. The question is asking us to examine this fictional account by Edith Wharton and interpret the passage. So we want to look at these Roman numerals and see what can be found in the passage. So choice number 1, the inhabitants are more predictable than the winter. So let's remember we're describing this small village of Starkfield where no one really ever leaves and it is very, very cold. And so even though this isn't said explicitly in the passage, the idea is there in that the idea of most of the smart ones get away, but the people who are left here are pretty accustomed to what they're doing here. The winters we see are really, really grim and really strong. So it's very this is something that would make sense. So let's leave number 1. Number 2, the inhabitants and the climate of Starkfield were volatile. So they're hardly volatile because you would suppose that an atmosphere might quicken the emotions and the blood, but there's still a sluggish pulse in Starkfield. There's the deadness of the community, and there's a contrast between the vitality of the climate and the deadness of the community. So it's definitely not true. Choice number 3, the people are hypnotized by the routine weather. So the people are hypnotized. We see this hypnotizing effect of routine, but the routine is not from the weather. So the climate has a lot of vitality. There are torrents. There's an intense glitter. There's really bad storms in February. So the weather is hardly routine. And choice 4, the sluggishness of the people continued year round. So that's not really true because we see here, I began to understand why Starkfield emerged from its 6-month siege like a starved garrison. So this happens when the 6 months of winter end, so the people are a little less sluggish. So this is another thing that points to the predictability of the inhabitants, since we see them being hypnotized by the winter for 6 months and then every year routinely emerging like a starved garrison. So number 1 is the only one that, even though it doesn't say it explicitly, the only one that makes sense in the passage. So choice 1 is our answer.